Hello everyone, good afternoon, good evening, good morning based on your location, and welcome to June month's Citrix Application Delivery Management Service monthly webinar. Who are available today? It's myself Avinash. I will be hosting this webinar as well as I will be presenting certain sessions, so I am the panelist as well. Along with me I have my fellow colleagues from ADM product management team, Sayukta and Karthik, who will be covering the respective new improvements around the ADM service. So what all will be covered today? First, we'll start our journey with the discussion over what are the overview of ADM service with a quick look into how you can, if you're a new user or if you're a new joining onto the webinar and you're not an active user of ADM service, how you can quickly get started. So it will just talk over the overview, followed by which we'll talk about the various improvements around the management and monitoring, which will be covered by me. Then Stylebooks and the analytics improvements will be covered by Sayukta and Karthik respectively. And of course, as every month webinar, we try to bring in one of the features from the ADM service tabs and we try to go through the basics of it so that it's kind of a refresher or a primer section where we cover one of the features. So this month we will be talking about network reporting features available within the management and monitoring. So let's see how we can jumpstart with the ADM service in a very quick 3 steps. First, you need to have an ADM service cloud offering of ADM, which you have to get by creating an account over the Citrix cloud. Once you have the account created, all you have to do is select the built-in agent when you open the ADM service tab and go ahead. So right now you don't have to install any kind of dedicated agent over the site or marketplace or anywhere to get your ADCs discovered. You just have to select the built-in agent mode, as ADCs support the built-in agent mode to get discovered. So the moment you select it, you will be given with a service URL and activation code, which you need to use it and activate the ADC. Once you have put it over the ADC, your ADC will be discovered over the ADM agent for management and monitoring capabilities. So that's how you can quickly jumpstart with the and start experiencing the ADM service. Now, what are the various advantages we talk about? So here are the 6 advantages we highlight. First, it's very agile, which means as it is a cloud-based service, SaaS-based service, it's very easy to operate. All the latest updates get pushed in. There are no hassles of high availability or disaster recovery and maintaining them, unlike you do over the on-prem environments. It has very faster time to value, which means you get started in a very few clicks, as I was talking about the onboarding journey as well. And then it has a state-of-art advanced machine learning, which means once your data and stats are fed into the ADM service from the ADCs, ADM will do all the analysis and do all the performance analysis of all the data which has, and it can give you good machine learning analytics capability on how your actual application is performing in terms of its usage, in terms of its security posture and whatnot. So you have all those advanced machine learning available only or exclusive to the ADM service. Now, along with that comes the lower operational costs, which means in a very lesser time and with without requiring too many resources and money, you can actually bring up an ADM service, which is a SaaS-based offering, and you can get started with your journey to manage your ADCs and get the healthy analytics data to proactively check and look into how your ADCs and applications within it are performing. And of course, a lot of other ADC-related lifecycle managements you can do. So as I was talking about the ADC, pretty much it supports any ADC environment, be it a public cloud, whether it is an on-prem or it is a hybrid where you have some of the ADCs which are in your on-prem data center deployment or others are on public cloud, be it Azure, AWS, GCP. So all flavors is supported here. And the last one, any kind of applications, be it your legacy monolith applications or more recent macro services, everything is supported across the ADM service for management and analytics and configuration as well. So let's say we understood the advantages. Now I want to start my ADM journey. So what is the kind of license? Because of course, when you get into the ADM service, first thing is what all capabilities you can get without even paying a single money. So first thing, you can start your journey with the Express tier. It's a freemium version wherein you can jumpstart with ADM service with the Express tier. What you get? You discover all, you have the access or whatever the ADCs you want to add, n number of ADCs you can add, and all the virtual servers, content switch, everything, whatever is the part of that configuration, which as you see on the on-prem, everything is this you can discover here under the network function and network reporting without any limitation. And again, even the configuration jobs and Stylebook configurations around doing any kind of activity and automation around the ADCs, it has also no limit, and you can do that. The only capping which has been done is around the analytics piece of it, where you just get 2 virtual servers to perform any kind of analytics, be it Web Insight, SDX, Gateway, Bot, whatever you want to choose, you can only choose over 2 virtual servers. So let's say you have already tried and you have looked and you're happy with the ADM service, and now you want to expand your analytics capability over the ADM service. That's where you can go to advanced. But before that, just wanted to add a pointer here. If you are on a premium tier, the only data retention you get is of 500 MB or a day. So with this, let's move on to the advanced tier where I was talking about. So let's say we have already experienced this, and now we want to deep dive into analytics and want to enable this capability for a lot of other applications which are very business critical and absolutely proactive to be monitored. So around that, you can explore analytics features and capability by buying the additional virtual server license, wherein you can have, I mean, even with the 2 virtual server you do have, but it is only limited to 2. So now once you have decided on all the healthy applications around which you want to do all this monitoring, the analytics, you have SDX Gateway Insight, Web and SSL Insight, app dashboard analytics, ML based app security analytics, everything you can perform over n number of these servers based on number of virtual server license you have purchased. Now, of course, when we talk about the storage, of course, with every virtual server license you do get a storage. But let's say in the course of time, if you feel that you have a certain other feature and configurations which are enabled onto the ADM service and you need extra storage around it, so not to worry, there is an unlimited storage which you can increase up to, provided the number of SKUs you bind. So let's say if it is a 5 GB storage SKU and you want to have a 50 GB of storage requirement, all you have to do is buy 20 SKUs, which will open up 50 GB of extra storage along with what you get already with the virtual servers. So with this, I will now start the talk about what all are the new features which has came into the ADM service since the last webinar we have done. So as we know, right, last webinar was done somewhere around 28th of April, and 27th of April was the last was the release which has not been covered so far. So we'll talk about since then what all new feature improvements has been done across various feature sets within the ADM service. So first I will talk about the management and monitoring. Within that, we have a couple of improvements which has been done is we now have the ADC downgrade capability through the ADM GUI, which means within the upgrade job you can perform by selecting the current NSCon file. We'll talk a bit detail when we go through this in this session itself today. And of course, as I say, right, these are the improvements. If there are multiple improvements and we cannot cover in a 1-hour session, those improvements will be talked into the future ADM webinars. So right now, today we will be talking about these two. In case the ones which are not covered in this will be carried forward into the future, or if there are certain which were left out in the previous sessions will be covered today. So with AppSec, we have and analytics, we have 2 improvements. First, around AppSec, we have now the capability to export the real-time data to this Splunk. And around analytics, the improvements which has come is improvements around the unified dashboard. As we have been, as you know, right, we have been talking about this unified dashboard, which was released somewhere in the initial Q1 Q1, and we have been bringing out the continuous improvement based upon the user feedbacks and customer feedback and various engagements we do on the various public forums. And based on that feedback, we are continuously evolving the unified dashboard and its widget. So this time also we have certain good improvements which Karthik will be taking us through. Now, of course, if you want to read about the other release notes and want to know about what all features has been developed in case you have missed out, of course, you can go onto our webinar page or you can visit the YouTube Citrix channel to look out for those webinars and get acquainted with all those new features which in the previous releases we have covered under the webinar. In case you want to read it about it, then you can always visit the release notes page and know about it. I know that the reason we add this information is a lot of time customers who are waiting for these kind of capabilities based on their feedback, if they want to start using it, then now it is the time it is available for you to use. So now we'll start with the improvements. As I said, right, we'll be talking about the improvement will be around management monitoring will be covered by me. Let's see what all things we have today. First, I will be talking about there is a support of ECDSA algorithm in the SSL dashboard. This feature enhancement was done a couple of months last month, and as we know, right, there was not enough time for us to cover in that session. So those enhancements, of course, will not miss out on any improvements to demo and walk through you all people who are joining in here. So this week we are covering this one. Along with that, I will be talking about the ADC downgrade, which is in the latest last 1 month feature enhancement, where we support for the downgrade and the improvements in the ADM GUI. So it's more the third one is more of a user experience enhancement on the way how we use the ADM GUI. I will quickly talk through it when I start a demo about it. So first, support for the ECDSA algorithm in the SSL dashboard. So if you see in here, enterprise policy is something which we, if some of you are regular joining of the ADM webinar in the primer sections, I do have talked about the SSL dashboard in some 4 or 5 months back webinar, and as we cover one primer section every month, in that I've deep dived and talked about SSL dashboard and what are the enterprise policies. Most of you who don't know, the enterprise policy just in a gist is a way wherein you can enforce on the SSL dashboard visibility what all certificates and communication, whether they are following the enterprise policy guideline or not, by configuring certain parameters under the enterprise policy. So what we got a feedback from many people that modern signature algorithms like ECDSA was not part of it under the recommended signature algorithm. So what it used to give is it used to give a false information over the SSL dashboard, wherein a certificate which or a communication excuse me, SSL using an ECDSA was coming still under the not recommended because it was not part of the recommended signature algorithms. So now it has been added there. So now once it is added in the recommended algorithms, anyone who has configured the enterprise policy and selected this as a recommended algorithm, now it will show the actual usage under the SSL dashboard around it, and it will no longer come under the not recommended unless until you have knowingly not selected it. So there are other part of it we'll talk in the demo. Next is the ADC downgrade through the ADM GUI. So this feature has been a small enhancement under the upgrade jobs on the ADM service which were already available. The entire upgrade flow remains same. Just the use case here is earlier when we have an ADC, you want to upgrade it, let's say for example from 13.0 you want to upgrade to 13.1, you select the instances and we do select the image and we follow all the process of scheduling, pre-post checks, and then schedule it for upgrade. In the same small enhancement which has been done as a customer, this is again coming from a customer feedback, that at times customer has to do a downgrade of the ADCs as well. So why not to have that capability as well? So now same upgrade job, instead of selecting a newer version, you have the capability to select, let's say your ADC is on 13.1 and some reason you want to downgrade it to 13.0, you can select it. Now ADC, what ADM can do, all it has to do is select the right NSConf which supports that earlier build, because what will happen if earlier you used to do that, if the ADM has been already upgraded with the new feature sets and default a lot of configuration has been done, it is difficult for it to downgrade because NSConf which are there for the newer feature, that conf file will not be supported with the older versions or built of an ADC if you're trying to downgrade. So now it has the capability to go and check over the ADC, find out that conf file and perform that activity. And in case if there is no suitable NSConf file, then what it will do, it will throw out an appropriate error message. Excuse me. So and the third and last small improvement as I was talking about is within the navigation pane. Now you can expand and make many windows, as many features windows you want. So like as you see here, I've expanded the application gateway. Earlier, if you want to expand one of them, you have to first collapse the other one. Now only the other feature pane can be expanded. So let's have a quick demo and see what we are talking about here. So first, this is a small user experience enhancement, because if earlier if I've opened let's say applications pane, and if I want to go into the security, it will not take me unless until I go and collapse it. So now that is not the case. I can open any pane, and within that sub panes also I can open, and I can basically expand each and every feature tab within the left pane window. So that is the improvement I was talking about in the ADM GUI. Now let's see about that SSL dashboard enterprise policy, which I was quoting here. So if I see within the SSL dashboard, as I was talking about, right? So based upon your enterprise policy settings, which is there under the setting, excuse me. If you have configured the whatever your enterprise policy guidelines are across the usage of SSL communication, you can configure it here, like what should be your trusted CAs, what should be your recommended key strengths, what would be the recommended ciphers, and the of course the SSL protocol. Once you have configured these guidelines and created the enterprise policy, whatever the SSL communication which is not adhering to those policies, all the details will be captured here, as you can see, right? Let's say some of the signature algorithms which are shown here, some of them are coming under not recommended. You will see that list of list of certificates which are spent across the ADM ADCs which are not adhering to that. Even same way, you can see what all are not adhering to the SSL protocol apart from which is under the recommended. So those all details can be captured, and you can now have the visibility of even, let's say, ECDAC algorithm has been used, you would have seen the usage under the signature algorithms as well. So this is pretty much it around the NSConf. As I said, right, from the configuration point of view, nothing has changed within the upgrade flow. It's just that now you have the capability to select and downgrade an appliance, and it will automatically select the configuration fault. The rest all path or the procedure to follow the upgrade remains the same. So with this, I would take a pause, and I will pass on the session to Sayukta to take us through the improvements around the Stylebook. Over to you, Sayukta.
Hi everyone, this is Sayukta, and today I'll be taking you through some of the latest improvements we've done around Stylebooks. So before we begin, a quick recap on Stylebooks for all those who don't know what Stylebooks are. I believe most of you would be knowing Stylebooks. We presented them in the earlier sessions as well. So what are Stylebooks and what use cases it helps with? It's an abstracted way or a templatized way to deploy ADC functions like LB, CS, WAF, GSLB, etc., or to deploy enterprise apps. So you have a very simple templatized format to deploy the application on the ADC. You fill in those and it gets deployed on the ADC. There are default Stylebooks as well as custom Stylebooks. And the biggest advantages of using Stylebooks is that you can logically group all these config dependencies. So ADM will know that for this particular application, you're executing this particular config on ADC. Tomorrow, if you want to move that application from one ADC to another or from on-prem to cloud, you'll be able to do that easily by just changing the target instance from ADC1 to ADC2. And Stylebooks intelligently will take care of migrating the application because it knows which config dependencies are executed using Stylebooks for that particular app. This also helps you future-proof your applications, because if you do not want to migrate or relocate the app today, you can still use Stylebooks, making updates easy, deployment easy, and in future you can do any kind of these updates or migrate operations very easily. Some of the examples of default Stylebooks are LBCS, SSL Rewrite Responder, GSLB WAF for the ADC functions, and Microsoft Skype for Business, SSO Office, Google Apps, SSO Google Apps, Microsoft SharePoint, etc. for enterprise apps. Even internally, the autoscale config uses Stylebooks. Now, that was a quick overview. We'll now see what are the latest enhancements done in Stylebooks. So we can now support external data sources like a custom data source or existing entity like an vServer on an ADC kind of an example using Stylebooks. So either referencing existing entity or using an external custom data. Second one is the auto update of config packs. This is in relation to the certificate store auto update, and we'll look into the use case as we go ahead. And lastly is the HTTP based formatting tags, which will help in adding more information and visual appeal to the stylebook. So let's first look at the data sources. So when you already have an entity existing in the ADC, you may want to reuse or reference that particular entity because you will not want to create it again using the newer stylebook. So when you're executing a stylebook on that ADC and you want to reference a pre-existing entity, earlier this could not be done because stylebook was the whole and sole owner of the app config and you needed to create it using the newer stylebook. Now we've given an ability to reference these existing entities so that you can reference and use them in the new stylebook which you're developing. So this is one use case wherein this data source is helpful. Second one is that whenever you're executing stylebook on an ADC, you may want to default certain parameter values based on which environment that ADC lies in. For example, if the ADC is a prod environment ADC, you may want to give a specific prefix to the app name or use a specific certificate, etc. Versus if the ADC is in a staging or a QA environment, you would want to use another app name prefix and another certificate. So this helps, the data source of custom data helps in this use case. So with this new feature, you can do both of these use cases. You can use a managed ADC as a data source, or you can reference to an external custom list. We've introduced a new parameter called datum for helping with such use cases. And you can create your own data source by going to the app and going to configuration, which is the Stylebooks module, and creating your own data source here. So let's see an example of how you create it here. In this below example, you can see that there's a new data type introduced called datum. This parameter section is where you define all the details. I'm sure you would be aware of that in a stylebook definition. So you give the type as datum, and then in the data source, mention the type as a managed ADC. And you can reference any particular value from that ADC, like giving a parameters dot selected LBV server attributes and its name, IP address, or service type. So this is how you can reference entities. If you want to create your own data source, you can go under applications, configuration, and go to the data sources section. You can create a data source type, give it a particular name, and then you add your collection type. Collection type in layman language, you can think of it just like a DB schema where you give the collection what all this will be containing, like name, IP, protocol, port, and give the type of that attribute. And then you say that, okay, if it's production environment, for example, I want my ADCs to take this value, this name, this port, this IP, this protocol. So every time the stylebook is executed, it will pick this particular value as defined in the stylebook definition and execute it. You need not give these values each time. So while referencing a custom data source, you'll see that the type is again datum. In the data source type, you'll give the name of the environment or the variable you've created under type as seen in the previous slides. And then you can use this particular parameter saying you can create a loop that every time you're going through for a new LBV server, depending on the environment on which it is going to be executed, the different parameters should be configured. So that was about one of the enhancements we did. The second one is an auto update of config packs. This is in reference with the certificate store enhancement, which we done. And I think we covered it in detail in the March webinar. Avinash had taken us through a deep dive and a demo for this. So how are certificate stores useful? It is an option to discover all the certificates existing across the different selected ADCs. You can select them and import them onto the cert store. You can view the complete list on the cert key pair, like the cert name, the type of the cert, the days to expire, etc. You can also see the instances for a specific certificate which you select from the cert store. We also have an option to get the certificate for a specific style book or API gateway use, and you can also search in this particular store. So this is a quick recap on the search store. It has a lot of advantages. Do have a look at our documentation, or here our webinar, which happened in March, if you're not aware of the search store. In Stylebook context, the enhancement we've done is that whenever a particular certificate is being updated in the search store, any config pack using that certificate, means you've already deployed a Stylebook on an ADC and a config pack exists using that certificate, all such config packs will be auto updated, so that you don't have to manually go there and make the config pack use the latest SSL cert. It will be automatically taken care of. So it reduces a lot of tracking and operational overhead. The third enhancement which we've done is more on the visual representation side of Stylebook. We got this as a feedback and an enhancement request for the customer to be able to create Stylebooks which give a little more detail textually or in terms of images. So you can now include in the Stylebook header field or in the description, that is the definition, you can use HTML formatting tags. You can also include images as part of the header, which will be put up at the top of the form. So with this, you can add different kinds of infographics. The use case may be to help your users understand more about what the Stylebook does. If you want to give more information on the feature or the app in which it's deploying, you can write that in the HTML tag, which is formatted. You can also insert certain images for better understanding. You can also add hyperlinks. So you can give a hyperlink to a Citrix doc if you want the user to go ahead and read some more information before executing it. So this is a great way of the Stylebook being made a little more visually appealing and a little more informative than what it is. A quick note that if you choose to use this and you're inserting any image, ensure that it is in base 64 format so that it's rendered. That's all we had from the Stylebooks front. I'll now pass over to Karthik, who will be taking us over the analytics enhancements. Over to you, Karthik.
A very good morning to all of you. And I'm Karthik Srivatsan, Product Manager for Citrix ADS. And today in this presentation, we'll be going through some of the improvements we've done in the analytics section and also the app security section. Just to quickly give you guys a glimpse of what's coming in this presentation, there are two things we'll be talking about. First one is the improvement to the unified dashboard. And the second one will be the ability to export real-time app security, machine learning analytics data to Splunk, which will help a lot of security ops personas and the IT ops personas in the enterprise. All right, so before diving into what enhancements we've done, I thought it would be great to give a good stance about what the overview dashboard really means. We will go through in detail while I'm covering the demo, but I thought it is a perfect starting point for me to give you guys a glimpse of the great value that a lot of our customers are seeing for what we've brought in the ADM service. So what really is the unified overview dashboard? So the unified overview dashboard is a high-level insights and issues for admins to monitor and focus the specific issues in the deployment. So more often than not, admins typically are into two different categories. So they have a problem, they know the problem, they segue into the right problem domain and are able to detect and resolve the problem. But there are cases where the admins also want to take a look at how their deployment is faring. And it is very unusual for the admins to go through multiple dashboards without getting a high-level view of what's happening. So the overview dashboard helps exactly that and provides key metrics and details across 4 different categories, the critical categories like applications, the ADC infrastructure, security, and gateway. So let's see some key tenets of this. So it is a single pane launchpad for the admin. It acts as a quick starting point to get an overall purview of the entire ADC fleet, how the applications are faring, how the instances are faring, whether there are violations or not, and how many gateway sessions or user sessions there are, and what are the impacts to each of these categories. It is a well-curated C-level admin report, if you will, because it has a snapshot of the current time series, like an hourly or a monthly or a weekly time series of all the issues that are seen in the environment. It provides high value insights for various personas. The fact that we have categorized this across these key applications, infra, security, and gateway, provides an absolutely clear view of what's the real problem in a bird's eye view for the admins, so that they can pinpoint the problem domain and then be able to segue themselves into a deep drill down to find out the actual problem and then act upon it. The fact that we are providing this high level insight to be able to associate a problem domain on an overall high level basis is definitely going to enable the admins to ensure that there's very little time spent in scrubbing through all the dashboards, but find out the problem domain, then drill down and then detect and solve the issue. So this means that there is definitely going to be reduced time to detect, focus, and resolve for the admins. And finally, while we provide the high-level overview, we also provide a one-click segue into individual dashboards so that the admins can drill down and take an overview of that. So let's come into the improvements that we have done on the unified dashboard. So admins will have the ability to customize the overview dashboard. We'll see that in the demo. Admins will also be able to click on key metric counts and view exhaustive details of the applications, instance, gateway, and security. This enables the admins to focus on the problem at a high level with a visual representation without having to drill down yet. But once they've got a hold of what the problem is, from that very high level view, they can easily segue into the drill down. And we've also made the similar changes to SSL, where we provide the SSL metrics, where how many certificates have expired, how many are going to expire within a week, and then admins can exactly click on those, find out the apps, instances hosting that certificate or are associated with the certificate, and then take meaningful actions by drilling down and renewing or redeploying the certificates onto the instances again. And finally, from a gateway context, we provide top 3 countries users geo distribution that again has a lot of details embedded in that enables the admins to figure out what kinds of errors they are facing, how many users are coming from where, how many sessions are currently available, how are they impacted, and so on. So let's take a quick look at the demo. So this is our ADM service UI, and the overview dashboard from a discoverability standpoint exists in overview dashboard. So as you see, you have applications category, you have, okay, I'll just quickly add those widgets so you guys can see. Yeah, we briefly touched upon the customization of the dashboard. I'll go through that again. But for the benefit of giving you guys a glimpse of how the overall overview dashboard is, so the dashboard contains details about applications, ADC infrastructure, security, and gateway. And a lot of details are provided. So based on the application's health, application's performance, what are the anomalies that are seen across different applications? What are those issues that are adversely impacting the application's performance and availability? How many certificates there are in total, and how many of them have expired, including some of the certificates whose timeline or life cycle is nearing expiry. We give a lot of details to different personas so that they can take meaningful actions and find out those problem domains, and then be able to drill down into the, sorry about the background noise, into the respective dashboards. So that's about this. And now we'll talk about the improvements that we have done to this segment. So admins do not only get a high level view of the anomalies, but they also are able to click into the specific issues, which then provides a pane which opens up. And there we have a list of applications and the counts of the issues that are currently seen. So, and from here, the app users or the admins are also able to drill down into specific applications. For instance, we click on ADP. This provides information about the application, and the admins can typically go and check the issues, and take meaningful actions, including the recommendations that we provide. The more important thing is that we wanted to ensure that the admins got a way to get back to the high-level dashboard again. So they can click on this breadcrumb, the dashboard, and they can easily get back to the view that they drilled in from. So this is to ensure that they don't lose context of how they came into specific problems, and they're able to meaningfully get back to the high-level dashboard again. And like I mentioned, you also are able to look at certificates. So you can click on the expired certificates. We provide a great list of all the applications which are associated with certificates which have expired, the instances that are hosting it, and you again can segue into this application and then renew the certificates and redeploy them onto the ADC instances again. From gateway standpoint, as I said, you get the top 3 geo users geo distribution. So in this, you see that there is a lot of users coming in from United States. So the admin can click on this. Once the admin clicks here, he gets a lot of information at his disposal, meaningful information and insights. So the admin gets to understand what are the various types of gateway errors that they are seeing across all the sessions that the users are initiating. So they can click on endpoint analysis, they can click on authentication, authorization failure, and so on. It is taking a little bit of time because of my network maybe, but yeah. So here we provide a time series where we map the number of failures against a time map. And we also provide details about the users, the total bytes, logged in sessions. A lot of information is available here for the admin to take a look at user experience problems and then drill down in detail from here. And one last customization that we wanted to speak about is the ability to edit or customize the dashboard. Any admins can click on edit dashboard. So currently we have these 4 top widgets, which are the applications, infrastructure, security, and gateway. They are the top level parent widgets available. So assume that the admin wants the entire view decluttered and maintain only the application and infrastructure information in the overview dashboard. They can go ahead and remove the widgets that they do not want right now. And then save it. So now they will get a view only of those widgets that they wanted to have in the overview dashboard. So this is a great space to watch on. We from the development team and the product team are making a lot of improvements to the overview dashboard, where we are also trying to break this flat structure of a big widget into miniature widgets, where you can be able to select only application health, only golden signal anomalies, only SSL certificates, or whatever widgets of your choice. And that's coming in our future development cycle. So this is a great space to watch out for the app admins and IT admins. So that's with respect to the overview dashboard and improvements in analytics. Let me quickly get into the next part. So this enhancement is about the ability for a real-time export of AppSec ML use cases data to Splunk. So what is in it for the admins with this enhancement? So ADM has a lot of app security machine learning use cases where we process and synthesize the transactions and find out violations, and it is in a ready state to be exported to Splunk. So before this enhancement, we had only WAF and bot violations, but since there are a lot of meaningful insights and invaluable insights available for the SecOps personas, we thought that this was the right time to enable the export of this data to Splunk, because many of the SecOps personas in the regular enterprises are using CM platforms like Splunk, and they want all the data exported from point products into Splunk for consumption. So now we have enabled ADM to export all of the AppSec related ML process data in real time to Splunk. The moment ADM sees any violation, it is available in Splunk. So from a discoverability standpoint, as we would see in the demo, the user or the admin would go into ADM settings, ecosystem integration, and select all the machine learning use cases or the violations the ADM has processed and enable them to be exported in real time to Splunk. This is in addition to the WAF and bot real-time events that have already been made available to be exported to Splunk. And how do you enable the export? You go on to the ecosystem integration. There you click on add subscription, choose the features, select the Splunk endpoint, provide the collector IP, and then click save. And you are ready to be exporting the data to Splunk. Some key notes here. The export to Splunk is real time as soon as ADM has synthesized and processed the incoming data and has a violation detection. So it could be in the form of an account takeover, data exfiltration, large upload, download, and many more use cases that we support. We support more than 13, 14 use cases, which are invaluable to the security ops personas to be able to detect those in real time and to act upon it. While we have the real-time export, even periodic export is still available should the admin personas want a periodic export of some specific use cases or WAF and bot events to Splunk. So admins have the flexibility to choose between real-time and Splunk on specific use cases as well. With that said, let me go through the demo. Again, from a discoverability standpoint, as I said, this exists under settings, ecosystem integration. And here we can click on add. Once we click on add, we get a lot of available features right now. So if you see in real-time export, we have a lot of these ML use cases like account takeover, count of unique IPs, website scraping, API abuse. A lot of these are available in both real-time export and periodic export. See, all the admin has to do is if they want all of the ML use cases, including WAF and bot, they can just simply go ahead and click real-time export, and all of these use cases, including WAF and bot, will be sent to Splunk in real time as soon as we detect the violations. And should the admin want only specific ML use cases to be sent to Splunk real time, and some of them for periodic, as you see, these have been grayed out because they're already selected for real time. So I can select a few of these for periodic exports, and then I can click on next. So once I give this, I can choose my endpoint as Splunk, provide the endpoint IP, provide a sample token, and we use HTTP endpoint collector mechanism to integrate with Splunk. And there is a great document available publicly on how ADM can integrate with Splunk. And once we click next, since we selected periodic updates as well, the admin would have to select the frequency in which he wants to export the data for those use cases that were selected for periodicity, let's say hourly, and then you provide a subscription name, and then you just hit submit. So once you do this, this is all the configuration an admin has to do to subscribe for exporting the ML use cases in real time. As you can see, the subscription has been saved successfully, and then you will get the details about all the subscriptions you have. So this is the one we created. So this is a great feature. I'm pretty sure this will act as an extremely important enabler for all the SecOps personas, because ADM offers invaluable machine learning analytics data and insights from a security standpoint. And while all the personas can consume this from the ADM itself, majority of the enterprises use same platforms. So we've enabled this integration with Splunk, and all of this process data is available to be exported to Splunk. So please go ahead and try this feature.
Okay, so thanks Karthik for taking us all the wonderful improvements around the unified dashboard. And as Karthik was coaching, there will be time and again a lot of developments will be coming in future based on the feedback, of course, from the customers like you, and with those valuable feedbacks, of course, there will be a lot of enhancement coming around to really digitize it and give more granular level controls. So with this, let me start presenting my screen, and let's go through the last section, which is the primer section. Okay, so today we'll be talking in the primer section about the network reporting. So before we get into the dashboard and we talk about, I have just taken a liberty of pulling out a small walkthrough on what all various section talks about. The first one, as you see, right, within that typical dashboard, you will see the network report. The first will be the report duration. You have the option to select from a 1 hour report to 1 day to 1 week and up to 1 month. Of course, if you want to select within that 1 hour, if you want to customize it and select within a custom time duration, you have the slider to select it from. Here you will see all the list of dashboards which you have created, and with an option at the last to create another one if you need to create a new dashboard. When you create a dashboard, of course, you will be selecting instances or interfaces, whatever the entities you are selecting. Up to 10 instances you can select at the max, and those all will be showing with the different color bars, so that if you have multiple data points from multiple instances selected within a dashboard graph, you should be able to differentiate with the color codes for which instance that graph, within that graph, that line represents for, or the data represents for. Then you have the, of course, if you do any kind of changes, you want to add instance, you want to modify a graph, you want to modify the entities around, data points around which you want to collect, like here in this example is GCP SSL dashboard. You, of course, any configuration changes around the, dashboard changes within that particular dashboard, you have to click on save so that you don't lose out. Let's say you have done changes and you just go to another dashboard by mistake, you click it, all the changes will be lost. So any changes, you have to make it permanent with the save button. Then you have the option to export the dashboard based upon the type of dashboard you have created. You will have options for PDF, JPEG, and PNG format to export in a snapshot format, or if there's an availability of CSV format, you can download that. So this is more about, this export is more about getting the entire dashboard with multiple graphs available. If you want to export the individual within that individual widget you want to export, or the graph you want to export, you have a small option here as an icon to click on that export widget, and you can perform the same export. Either you can, and in both the options, either you can export it now or you can schedule it based upon the time and the choice of your notification, whether it's email or Slack. And then we'll be talking in the demo when we talk about this network dashboard. I just wanted to, network reporting dashboard, but just wanted to show you here with a quick what all things are available there. And of course, within each graph, you will have the different indications of line, whether it's a dotted, dashed line or solid lines represent different type of data points you have selected within that graph to be represented. So that's how you can differentiate within a graph. So those information will be shown here at the bottom of each and every graph. So with this, let's talk about the two of the use cases where I will focus upon. First, we'll see how we can customize the views with different type of aggregator types, aggregator views which you can have within a network report, how you can customize this. And second, we'll talk about how to set up a threshold. So let's say a common use case is a search queue protection. For which is enabled on the ADC, and you want to be aware of how your application is performing and if there are any search queue building up, because it's the initial sign of that your backend applications are overwhelmed with the connection. So you want to be very proactive around it. So at times it happens, it comes up and it goes down. So you want to manage a threshold after which a notification has to be sent. So this is one of the use case, but yeah, I will do a quick walkthrough to all the different threshold capabilities which are available. So with this, let's go to the demonstration for it. So if you see the typical journey for a for the network report will start, you have to go into the infrastructure network reporting. When you go in here, that's how, if you have never configured a network reporting dashboard, that's how the UI will look like. All you have to do is start creating dashboard. But before that, let's go ahead and see some of the settings, and then we'll go back to the dashboard and thresholds tabs. So first, I wanted to highlight this. The polling interval you can have between anything between 5 to 60. Minimum polling interval has to be 5 and maximum should be 60. So once your ADC has been discovered and managed under the ADM, it will start polling out and sending out the APIs to pull out all the counter data which is available over the ADC, and based upon the type of reports and the data points you select, it will have all that data to show you in a good graphical reporting format, and depending upon the kind of view you have selected. When I talk about the kind of view, so you have the options to select different type of aggregators view. This is the one I was talking about. So maximum you can select up to 4 here. By default, average will always be available. So let's go to the actual demo center where we already have different kind of aggregators already configured. So here, what we have done here, apart from average, which is already available by default, we have added 99th percentile, max, 77th, 75th, and 95th percentile values. So just keep a note of it. The moment you add or edit anything with it here into the views, it will take at least 1 hour time for the dashboard to curate that data, calculate, and start reflecting you based upon the view of your choice. So for example, let's say, I have a throughput report which is available. So here I can select multiple instances throughput. So if there is, if it has the graph, it will show you for all those instances around which the throughput is going on. If there is no usage at certain instance, you might not see the graphs for it. So let's see some of them which has the multiple utilization, like this one, where we have configured multiple interfaces across an instance to look across how the respective instance interfaces are performing. So if you see, as I was talking about, the moment you come to this graph and if you hover over it, it will show you the different color dots with, it will be showing you receive, transmit byte for that particular interface, and with blue, amber, green, and various different color notations saying that, or showing you that for which actual instance or interfaces that graph represents for. And if it is a dotted, striped, or a solid line, it will show you here details about it, whether it is a receive bytes, transfer bytes, or is it receive packets or transfer packets. Now, of course, as I said, I have already told you have the options to toggle between different kind of, whether you want to view the reports based on the hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. Just wanted to make a point here. If you want to have, right now, if you see there is no aggregator view, and this is by default, if you select the minimum 1 hour view for the graph, of course, you can toggle in here and change the custom time window within an hour. But within an hour, you can only have an average view. If you want to see the different views as we have selected as per the aggregator, minimum duration is required is 1 day. The moment you select, you will have different views available here. So let's say if I want to see the max view, I can select it and it will start showing me the max values for according over the interface a certain duration of time. And of course the sampling intervals would be averaged out, but yeah, it will show you those values. Same, you can go and you can increase the weekly or monthly, and it will average out those values and start showing you. Here, of course, you can select the layout, whether you want it to be 1:1, 1:2. If you have multiple graphs, if you don't want to have a cluttered view where you have 4 or 5 graphs showing one next to another, and you want to have a sequential fashion, you can select 1 to 1, 1 cross 1. And if any of the graph, let's say for example, there would be certain dashboards here where we might have multiple views or multiple graphs included into it. In that situation, it will show us the you can actually, like this one, you can always do a 1 cross 1, and it will start showing you the sequential view. Of course, you can do, as I said, export it in a and you can do it export now or schedule the report and use it for sending it you on a time of your choice, and the notification or whether you want to send it via email or a Slack. Of course, that scheduling can be done. Now, coming back, and let's see, we'll try to create one dashboard and see what all are the functions which are available. So here, if I come here, I have a new dashboard option. Now you have the different type of dashboard, different stats which are available from the ADCs. Based on that, you have the different type of reports you can curate. Whether it is a global counter, then you can find it under the global reports. And the moment I give it next, I will have host of different options or the custom dashboards which I can create for different. I can select one or multiple dashboards here. Sorry, the graphs within a dashboard. So same way, I can go ahead and I can select. Same way, I can go ahead and I can select if I want to have the graph for LP service group services. Based on that, I can select. So let's quickly talk about the threshold which I was referring in here. So now let's say you have the reports coming in and you want to configure a threshold for search queue. So all you have to do is, let's say for example, you have already created one. You given the name, you select the type of instance as ADC. Now here you will have options, multiple different thousands of counters, and across which you can select it across hundreds of different permutations within that, and you can create the thresholds. Like in this example, I am very curious about the search queue to really gauge the application's performance if it is not getting overrun. I can select that. I can select from here request virtual server search queue. I can give a threshold value. Let's say I want, if the queue size increases at the LBB server more than 25, a notification has to, when notification has to be sent out, and I have to enable that. Now either I can send it through email, Slack, or PagerDuty, ServiceNow, whatever the communication of my choice, I can send it. In case this when this notification is sent and you want to see it, where the details are about those notifications, you can of course go back and do the management monitoring event section, and there the details will be there. And when you want to get clear, you can also define the clearance value and the category of that event. Of course, if you have multiple instances against which you want to monitor this, you can select the list of instances. So right now, let's say for example, I have here this instance, which is a very business critical instance, under which all the V servers, if they have any kind of search queue building up, I want to get a notification if they are more than 25. So this is the use case I wanted to highlight. So in case you want to explore and configure, there are a number of possibilities around ADC as well as around the SDX, which you can create in here. So with SDX also, I have the options to create various metrics. Some problem with my report. So so you can explore in here, and with all the options available, you can definitely create, like you can create high CPU utilization you want to create, because let's say if it is for momentary and you don't want to notify at that threshold, you can create your own custom threshold and get the notification done. So with this, I would take a pause here, and I want to thank everyone for joining in today's session, and we'll definitely connect next month with more improvements around the ADM and primer sections to take you through. So with this, I will thank everyone. Have a good day.